Everybody, welcome to Jacob's Quest, and today I've just finished watching episode 4 of Marvel's What If? And this one, really interesting one. Also, spoiler review, obviously. Anyways, so this one is, what if Doctor Strange lost his heart instead of his hands? In this one, I do have a little bit of a question with, because they definitely, this whole thing's all about time and how you shouldn't mess with it, and how it can have like these crazy universe destroying results when you start messing around with time, and you have the time stone and all this stuff, right? It sets up something that I am still trying to wrap my head around, and I don't know if it entirely makes any kind of sense. So here's basically the plot: is that Doctor Strange is with Christine Palmer, and he's headed to the dinner event. Now, if you remember the Doctor Strange movie, okay, and I had to rewatch this just to like see what happened here, because I was like, wait, is that really what went down? So in the Doctor Strange movie, okay, it starts off in the hospital. He tells Christine, hey, I'm going to this dinner event, I want you to come with me. And she says, no, these events are all about you. We're not really like dating, we're not really together, but they dated in the past. And so he goes to the event on his own, by himself, and then of course the car crash happens, he ruins his hands, and the rest of the Doctor Strange story happens. So in this universe, the big change seems to be that they were still together. She did agree to go to the place with him, and then they get in the car crash and she dies, and then the rest of Doctor Strange plays out the same way it did, except of course he's like holding on to this idea that maybe he can bring her back. Now the weird thing, and the reason that I'm having trouble wrapping my head around this, is because he goes back in time in this episode many times, trying to maybe drive a different route, or trying to be more cautious when he's driving, and every single time Christine Palmer dies no matter what. And he even gets a visit by the Ancient One, saying that, oh, this is a fixed point in time, you cannot change this. Christine Palmer dies, and then that makes you go become the Sorcerer Supreme and all this other stuff, right? It's she literally says, like, Christine Palmer dying is the only reason that you were able to defeat Dormammu, which is really weird that she said that, because obviously we know that that's not what happened in our universe. Like that, like her dying didn't even happen, so obviously that can't be an actual fixed point in time, because we know that's not what happened. So my thing is, like, could the solution then would be like, okay, Christine Palmer simply does not agree to go with him to the dinner, and then there you go, like everything should be fine, right? Like, because that was like the one difference between our main timeline and this what if timeline, right? But I don't know, because they even play out a sequence where she does not go with him, or at the very least he does not pick her up for the dinner when he was supposed to, and she still ends up dying. He's at a bar and he sees on the news there was some kind of explosion in her building, and she still ends up dying. So that's the thing that I'm kind of struggling with here, is because like that should be the solution to the problem, is that like, okay, she doesn't go to the dinner with him, just like it happened in our main universe, and then therefore she does not die, right? But that's what I'm kind of confused by. Like, why is it a fixed point in time, something that no matter what you can't undo, and yet we know that's the main event that like can definitely not happen. And that's what I don't understand here, is because I was under the impression that the choices that are different, the small events that are different, that's what creates the butterfly effect that basically makes this an alternate timeline, makes this an alternate world, and that's why things are different in these what if stories, right? But if you had the time stone and you can go back and reverse that decision, then for all intents and purposes, this should just play out the same way as our normal Doctor Strange universe, right? Like the way that it normally played out. So the version where he does not pick her up and she does not go to the dinner with him, that should have solved the problem, and yet for some reason there was like a random explosion and she still died, and that's what I don't get. You know, it feels like this episode might have broken its own rules of what if, right? And I don't know, because it's like I know that the what if of this is supposed to be, oh, what if he lost his heart? What if she died? And I guess the idea is that no matter what, in this universe, for some reason, she's gonna die. And I don't really get that, because I thought the choice was that, oh, what if she went to, you know, what if she went to the dinner with him, and so she's gonna die in that car crash no matter what? The solution would be, okay, well, she just fix that by not making her go to the dinner like she did in the normal, our actual universe. She lives, and then everything's fine. So I don't know, that is my one gripe with this episode, is that it feels like it's kind of breaking its own rules a little bit, it feels like, because, you know, if everything hinges on the one decision, this one what if, and then you have a time stone and you can reverse that what if, why is that what if still happening? You know? But okay, I'll let it go. Maybe there's an explanation, maybe there's some otherworldly force that's like, no, this has to happen in order for this what if universe to exist in the first place. I don't know, it's very confusing, but okay, fine, I'll let it go. Anyways, the rest of the episode is actually really awesome. Doctor Strange, this evil version of Doctor Strange, he ends up going back in time. He goes to this lost library of this ancient sorcerer who teaches him he can absorb these cosmic beings, and they all seem to be like evil cosmic beings, and he's like absorbing them, and he's slowly getting darker and more evil, and his eyes get all, you know, he almost turns Sith like, you know. And cool thing, one of the creatures is this tentacle monster that I would say is possibly the same tentacle monster we saw in the Captain Carter episode that Red Skull and Hydra were trying to summon. I have to imagine it's probably the same creature. Maybe I'll go back and look at the tentacles and they look the same, so that's pretty cool. I'm sure that's gonna pay off at some point. And yeah, basically he gets more and more powerful, and it turns out that he was split in two. That way there's like a good version and this new evil version, and they fight with each other, and in the end the evil version basically ends up destroying the universe. He forces this event to be reversed, where she does not die, or at the very least she gets brought back to life, and that causes basically the decay of the universe. You know, it's all kind of mystic mumbo jumbo. I don't know how it all works, but that's what happens. Basically, the universe starts disintegrating, and he even has a conversation with the Watcher, the narrator of the show, which makes sense, because like if anyone was going to be able to like sense the presence of the actual narrator, kind of break the fourth wall here, it would be this hyper powerful Doctor Strange, right? And he has a conversation with the Watcher where he's like, look, I'm sorry, you can stop this, you know, punish me, let the world live, you know, it shouldn't have to pay for my arrogance. And the Watcher says, I cannot interfere, you know, so I would punish you if I could, but I can't do anything, you know, and interfering would only make things worse. And last we see, after the world is destroyed, this evil Doctor Strange is like trapped himself in this, like, I don't know if it's like a small portion of the mirror dimension or just like this little crystal cocoon type deal, and the rest of his universe is gone. But I have to imagine this is not the last we've seen of this evil Doctor Strange, because, you know, he's out there, he's aware of the Watcher, and his universe is destroyed now, so it kind of feels like this hyper powerful evil Doctor Strange is the kind of guy who would then open a portal to another world. And so what I can imagine happening from this point on in the show, like maybe next episode they're presenting another what if, and then in the middle of that what if evil Doctor Strange shows up, and the Watcher's like, wait, that guy's still around? What? You know? So it's kind of funny how like this fourth wall is gonna start getting broken down a little bit, because we now have a character who's aware of the narrator of the show, which I think is really, really awesome. And yeah, I'm excited for where this goes. This has some pretty big implications, and I've suspected since the trailers that, you know, what has started off as an episodic show where each episode is something different, and you know, you don't really need to watch them in any specific order. I'm suspecting that from this point on, you know, especially the more and more that this evil Doctor Strange shows up, it's gonna slowly become an overarching story where these multiverses are now connected by the fact that we have a character who's aware of the narrator and can probably go from world to world and cause some trouble. And so now the narrator of the show we're watching is gonna have to fight this character in the story, you know, because, you know, the Watcher he's talking to us, the audience, but he's also, you know, he is a thing in the story itself. And that's kind of why he's like always been this like vague, like he's kind of writing the fourth wall deal. So that's pretty cool. I'm actually excited for this to become this more overarching thing, and that's probably how we're gonna see, you know, Captain Carter and the Star-Lord, Black Panther come back and mess around in other worlds. So that's pretty cool. I think this is really like where the show's really gonna start to explode. And yeah, just obviously I already went into it, but my one actual big problem is still just, if this episode feels like it broke the rules of its own premise a little bit, you know, because it's supposed to be one decision that alters the path of our main MCU. And yet, even when that one decision seemingly got fixed, for whatever reason, it still like went the other way, which doesn't make any sense to me personally, you know, because that one decision appears to be, she doesn't go to the dinner, that means she doesn't die, just like it happened in our, you know, our main story. She was not in that car, therefore she does not die. And yet for some reason there's like random events, kind of like I don't know if you guys have ever seen The Time Machine, which is like an early 2000s version of the book. I don't know if it happened in the book as well, but in the early 2000s movie of The Time Machine, it's the exact same premise really, where he's trying to go back in time and save this lady, and then she keeps dying in different ways and he can't change it because it's just like this thing that's supposed to happen by the universe, I guess. Which again, we know there's a universe where that doesn't happen, so I don't know why that would be the case of it. Like, no, it has to happen. It's like, why? We are aware of the main universe where she does not die, so I don't understand why that's such a fixed point in time for this one. But okay, anyways, so yeah, I like the episode a lot, and I think this show's really gonna start to pick up after this. I feel like this, I don't know if I like this better than the last episode. The last episode was this mystery murder thriller episode, and this one was, you know, I love the fact that he was able to talk to the narrator directly. You know, he's able to see the Watcher and be like, I sensed your presence, you know, let's talk to me, help me, you know. I love that scene and a lot of this. And my only real issue, which, you know, so I really like this episode. I would say this is maybe my second favorite. I think I still like the last episode a little bit better, but this one definitely feels like this is the turning of a corner for this show. And after this, there's gonna be, you know, some major multiverse implications going on. And yeah, we'll see how much of this carries over to live action, because obviously, you know, with the Spider-Man trailer out now, who knows how much of this is gonna end up like being relevant to the larger multiverse in the live action MCU. Anyways, yeah, let me know what you guys think. Let me know how you feel about, like, for whatever reason they could not undo the thing here and the lady kept dying, which it didn't make any sense to me. If it makes sense to you, let me know. But as far as I know, that should have solved the problem. You know, like if she didn't go to the dinner, she shouldn't have died. Therefore, this what if universe does not happen, and it goes back to the main MCU. So why is everything still happening? Whatever. Anyway, if it makes sense to you, let me know. If you have like an answer that's like, oh, you know, this is why, then please let me know, because I'm kind of, it bothers me a little bit. That's like the one thing that keeps this from being a higher episode in my mind. But yeah, overall, really liked it, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.